Hello, my twisted friends. If you're new here, hi. My name is Shannon Page, and I'd like to welcome you to Tuesday's Twisted Tales. If you are interested and intrigued by true crime like I am, well, I'd recommend hitting that like and subscribe button to join me on Tuesdays for another Twisted Tale. Today's awful tale is that of a government cover-up and how money and power changes the outcome of outrageous crimes. How those same people can stand before us and say that there is nothing to see, that it's all a hoax. Today we're talking about Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell and how power protects power. So let's get started. In 1996, someone by the name of Maria Farmer reported being abused by a man named Jeffrey Epstein. And absolutely nothing happened. No investigation took place. 10 years later, in 2006, the Palm Beach police in Florida received a call that a man by the name of Jeffrey Epstein had assaulted a 14-year-old girl. I had never heard the name. I didn't know he was rich. I didn't know that he was well connected with government leaders all across the globe. He was just some sick rich dude that needed to be imprisoned for what he'd done. From 2006 to the current day, we cannot turn the TV on or scroll through our social media without seeing the names of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. In June of 2007, just 1 year later, police filed their paperwork to charge Jeffrey with multiple counts of sex with a minor. Now, when I say multiple, I mean 40, as in 40. But the state attorney took a wild turn and sent the case to the grand jury. The case then came back with the minor indictment of soliciting a minor for prostitution and soliciting prostitution. Like, what the hell? 40 victims and they would come back with these two charges? I mean, it's unreal. But anyway, the police, they were pissed, right? They had put the case together for a year, had all these victims, and it was looking like all their time and effort was for nothing. They would very publicly accuse the state attorney of special treatment for Jeffrey Epstein, and when doing that, the FBI was then called in. Now, another year would pass, and during that time, the FBI prepared an indictment with the U.S. attorney in Miami, Florida, which was Alex Acosta. He's the guy that would later become Donald Trump's Secretary of Labor. Anyway, when he was the U.S. Attorney of Miami, a deal was struck for Epstein to avoid federal prosecution with the Sweetheart Deal. The true name of that is the Non-Prosecution Act. So with this deal, Epstein would plead guilty to 1 count of soliciting prostitution and 1 count of soliciting prostitution from a minor. He was sentenced to 18 months in prison, with work release, of course, which allowed him to leave his cell 6 days a week for 12 hours a day. So he was basically there just to fucking sleep. The Sweetheart Deal was written so that Epstein could not be prosecuted on federal crimes, and it also protected some of his associates. There were 4 people that were named, and believe it or not, Maxwell was not one of the 4. That's kind of interesting to me. Though today, she says she is protected by that MPA. Now, in 2009, Virginia Roberts Giffray, she comes forward and files a lawsuit claiming that Epstein and Maxwell were trafficking her when she was a teen, and this is where the fight begins to get that MPA, the Sweetheart Deal, overturned. Now, in 2011, the Prince Andrew case came to light and it gained national attention, and of course, an investigation by the FBI starts. But it wasn't until 2018 that the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office in New York revived an investigation into Epstein and his crimes. In July of 2019, Epstein is arrested on new trafficking charges that were brought by the New York prosecutor that said that they were not bound by the Sweetheart Deal, and 1 month later, Epstein's dead. In 2020, Maxwell, Epstein's longtime girlfriend and accomplice, was found guilty in her role of recruiting girls for Jeffrey Epstein, as well as charges of abuse she herself inflicted upon the victims. In 2021, Maxwell was convicted of 20 years. Now, years and years ago, and even recently, Donald Trump fueled conspiracy theories on Epstein, saying that former President Clinton was involved in the death of Epstein, and he, quote, demanded, end quote, a full investigation into the matter. August 2020, in the middle of the election, Trump suggested that Epstein may not have taken his own life, suggesting that Epstein was murdered. And in April of 2024, Trump was asked if he would release the Epstein files, and he said yes, many, many times. But then he got into office, and a very different story is being told. And he says things such as, quote, there is nothing to see here, end quote, and that, quote, it's all a hoax, end quote. So, what the fuck? If it's all a hoax and there's nothing to see, then just release the damn files, right? Now, Pam Bondi, she first said that she had a, quote, client list, end quote, on her desk with all the names of those involved in these horrific crimes, but then later said, quote, no list exists, end quote, and that there's nothing to investigate, and so the cover-up begins. But why? I mean, they refused to release the files. Why? Trump, he went from saying release the files to there is nothing to see, and it's all a hoax, so what the hell happened? What is in those files that we haven't seen? Whose names are under the black redactions? Well, because of all this nonsense, the bill was created, the Jeffrey Epstein Transparency Act. But why in the hell did it have to go this far? I mean, what are they afraid of? It's pretty suspicious, right? Now, the White House and the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, they want this all to go away, right? That didn't happen. A discharge petition was filed, and in order to pass it, they needed 218 members of Congress to sign the discharge petition. Then the legislation will go to the floor no matter what the Speaker of the House wants. Well, they did this and ended up with 217 votes. And remember, we need 218 to pass it. Now, Mike Johnson, he did not swear in, I believe the name's Delita Gravalta. Sorry if I'm saying that incorrectly. But anyways, he did not swear her in for several weeks. And when she was finally sworn in, she signed the petition, giving it the 218 votes needed, and the Transparency Act was born. But you have to ask yourself what the hell happened in those weeks. You know, what was destroyed? What were they covering up? Now, the bill was to release the unredacted documents, with the exception of the victims, of course, but that is not what we got. It was specifically written not to redact the names of any of the people involved, no matter who they were, no matter how powerful or rich they were. The DOJ redacted the abusers and named the victims and survivors. What the hell? What the hell is happening here? Now, it is my opinion that releasing the names of the victims was not an oversight or an accident. I believe it was intentional, it was very deliberate, and it was to intimidate the women and girls involved. In other words, now everyone knows your names, so you should watch what you say next. That's how I see it anyway. Now, after the victims' names were exposed, Pam Bondi, the head of the DOJ, she was asked to apologize to the victims who were present in the room that day. And this piece of shit, Bondi, says, quote, I will not get into the gutter with you, end quote, referring to Pramila Jayapal. She's a member of Congress that had asked Bondi to apologize to the victims present. Of course, the victims got no apology. It was more of a slap in the face. Anyways, their names being exposed is quite dangerous for them. It's painfully clear that all of this is a massive cover-up that stretches across the globe, and it goes back decades. We have been told there is nothing to investigate and no arrests will be made here in the States. Meanwhile, around the world, prime ministers, sultans, princes from other countries are being investigated on their connection to Epstein, but here at home, nothing's happening. We do see several people of power or in high positions are stepping down from their jobs, but so fucking what? Why aren't they being investigated? I'll tell you something. If I had a real cushy job making a huge salary, I damn sure wouldn't be stepping down if I didn't have anything to do with those crimes. I'd be fighting my ass off to keep my job, wouldn't you? Stepping away quietly only means that you knew something or did something. At least that's what it means to me anyway. It doesn't scream innocent, that's for damn sure. So here's what I think. People with money have the power. The system they designed did not fail. In fact, it did and still is working flawlessly. And it will continue to work flawlessly for them because it was designed to protect them. And it is, has, and will continue to work that way. Our system, the one you and me have to live by and follow laws to, is not designed to protect us. We must pay for our crimes no matter how big or small they are. Those with money and power, you know, the 1% that are elite, their system is much different. Two examples come to mind right away of how their system is different than ours. A few weeks ago, I did a story on Phil Spector. He was this massive music mogul that killed Lana Clarkson. Now, before the murder happened, Spector had pulled a gun on a valet driver, put the gun to the guy's head, and said, quote, if it ever takes that long to get my rolls again, I will blow your fucking head off, end quote. The police were called, witnesses said what they saw and heard, and Spector, he was given a $75 ticket. Period. Now, if that were you or I that did that, we'd be thrown in jail, have a felony record, and our Second Amendment rights would be stripped away. Another example is Vince Neil, the lead singer from Motley Crue. Vince was driving under the influence of an ass ton of drugs and alcohol. He wrecked his car, killing his friend Razzle, another musician. Vince was given 30 days of jail and was out in 19 days. And let's not get started on O.J. Simpson or Diddy. You get it. The elite, the 1%, their system is not like our system. Power protects power. This has been happening for decades, and I'm not just talking about trafficking and assault of victims. I'm talking about justice for all. There is never any real justice for the powerful people, and we'd be pretty damn naive to believe that that will change anytime soon. With this case, Maxwell got 20 years. But isn't it interesting that after meeting with 2 of Trump's people that she was transferred to a real cushy camp in Texas only 2 days after that meeting? Now she has a puppy a couple of days a week, her skincare products, all sorts of special things, and oh, by the way, other inmates, they aren't allowed to talk to her or even get close to her. And you gotta ask yourself why. Is it even her? When have you ever heard that inmates cannot talk to someone or get close to another inmate? It's strange, isn't it? But even if it is Maxwell, she won't serve the full 20 years. If she serves half of her sentence, I will be shocked. We are witnessing the largest cover-up in history unfold. We're learning the full magnitude of the world's largest sex trafficking ring ever, and none of it would have been possible without all of the players. Epstein and Maxwell were at the center of the wheel, but everyone from the butlers and the maids to the groundkeepers and the appointment schedulers were absolutely involved in the cover-up, but the organization didn't and couldn't run without the players. So each and every person under that black ink needs to be investigated. That's a no-brainer to you and me, but it's not happening. And you gotta ask yourself, why? We won't see justice that includes handcuffs and prison sentences because their system doesn't work like that. One of my all-time favorite YouTubers, Bailey Sarian, with Murder, Mystery, and Makeup, she recently uploaded a video titled, "What Are We Going to Do?" She had no makeup on. There was no true crime story. She was visibly upset and crying. She was talking about the files and saying that nobody gives a shit about us, and she's right. Our government does not care and does not give 2 shits about us, and it hasn't in a very long time. If you haven't seen her video, you should go check it out. The question she asks is powerful and daunting. So what are we going to do? They are the elite, the 1%. But ladies and gentlemen, we are the 99% that made them. Let's talk about musicians and athletes. If we, you and me, didn't buy the albums and sell out stadiums, would they have the money they have? You see, we, you and me, we are the money tree. We're the money tree that made them. I don't know what the answer to Bailey's question is, but I do know that the only thing these rich-ass people care about is money. Not you, not me, and certainly not justice. Power protects power, and money follows money. Now, I've tossed around ideas like no-spin days where we, the people, don't spend a single damn cent for one day all across the U.S., maybe even the globe, where no one enters a single store or restaurant. 0 purchases of any kind for a single day and continue to do that at least 1 day a week. Would they feel it? Yes. Over time they would. But at what cost to us? To you and me. We have people who rely on tips to pay their bills. What would happen to them? What would happen to all the small businesses? Would they survive that? Would we drive our prices higher in the end or make them drop? The goal is to hurt the powerful, not slit our own throats. So what do we do? I truly believe that if all those involved in this shit were exposed and prosecuted, that our government would crumble. They aren't about to let that happen, and that is why this massive cover-up is happening. We will not see the justice these victims deserve to see. We, you and me, are going to have to find our own justice, the kind of justice that hurts their pockets. If you are thinking about buying a Tesla, maybe consider buying a different car. That's just one idea. But let's work together to come up with a plan that will bring some sort of justice to those we gave this damn power to. We are the 99%. There is strength in numbers. The victims themselves have found strength in their numbers. There has to be a way for us to help them get the justice they deserve. There are so many victims that are speaking out. Jess Michaels, Annie and Marie Farmer, Danielle Bensky, Jenna Lisa Jones, and the late Virginia Roberts Dufresne. Please watch them speak out. Hear their stories and share them. We have to keep applying pressure. Remember, we are the 99%. We are 99% larger than they are. And together, we can help them get justice and maybe a little bit for ourselves too. What that looks like and how we do it, still the question. What do we do? I don't know. But together, maybe we can figure that out. And that, my twisted friends, is what's been swirling around in my brain. Let me know what you'd like to hear about next, and also please leave your ideas on how to make these people pay for their sins in the comments. There has to be something we can do. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and please share this one to your friends and family. Together we can come up with a plan to do something. You all stay safe out there. Look out for yourselves and those around you, because no one else is looking out for us. Stay vigilant, and I will see you all next week. Bye-bye.